Welcome back to Module 4.3. In this lecture video, we are going to talk about converting percents to decimal notation. So the previous lecture video, we talked about how to turn decimals into a percent by multiply by 100 or move my decimal to the right two places. So vice versa, if I have a percent and I want to convert to a decimal, then I can move my decimal to the left two places. All right, moving decimal to the left is equivalent of dividing. Two places means divided by 100. Okay, so one way is just doing it by looking at it, move my decimal to the left two place. The other way is basically put it in the calculator. So keep this in mind. To get rid of the percent, to get rid of percent, what do we got to do? We got to make sure we divide it by 100. All right. So 11%, if you take 11% divided by 100, that will actually give you 0.11. Or if you want to move the decimal that was behind the 11 to the left two places, that will also give you 0.11. So either way, 11% is 0.11 hundredth or 0.11. All right, change the following percent to decimal. So this, if you really think about this though, this 0.82% is even lesser than 1%. So 1%, imagine moving a decimal to the left two places or divided by 100. The decimal is here with one empty slot. That means 1% is point, one open slot, put a 0 in, so that'll be 0.01. That's 1%. All right, 0.01. This is 0.82%. All right, so 0.82% is even smaller than 1%, which is going to be smaller than 0.01 in decimal notation. So if you take 0.82 to get rid of the percent in a calculator, I gotta press divided by 100, and that will give me 0.0082. Or I can just look at the decimal and move it to the left two places. 1, 2. Decimal is here. One empty slot. So that will be 0.0082. Or sometimes I like to say 0.0082. All right, 262% convert to decimal notation, divided by 100, or move the decimal that was actually behind the 2, whole number 2, to the left two places. Either way, you're going to end up with 2.62. So, like I said in the previous video, anything higher than a 1 is over 100%. That's what that means. I want to take a look at this particular example. A credit card company charges 0.013% interest per day. That's not a lot of money. 0.013%. That is way lesser than even the 0.82%. We need to write this interest rate in decimal form. All right, so let me do this in calc, okay? So I need to turn 0.013% into a decimal notation. So in the calculator, that will be 0.013 divided by 100. And that will give me, oh, what is this thing? 1.e negative 3. If you run into this, what is that, 4? Excuse me. This e, in other module, we will talk about this. This representing times 10. The negative 4 means times 10 to the negative 4 power. So whenever you see this e negative 4, that negative is telling you to move to the left, okay? Basically. Move it to the left 4 places of who? Of the 1.3. But Mr. Cheng, I thought the problem was 0.013. Yes, that is right. So in the calculator, if I divide it by if I divide by 100, that means I need to take this decimal, move it over to the left 2 places. So my final answer should be point or 0.0, go in that slot, 0013. All right, that will also be exactly the same as when you see in the calculator the 1.3e negative 4. That means I need to move this decimal that is between the 1 and 3 to the left 4 places. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that leaves me with 3 empty slots. That's why my answer is still going to be equivalent. 3 empty slots, put 0 in, 1, 3. Okay. Now, with this number, 0.00013 on my calculator, in scientific notation form, let's take a look at the second one. What is the annual interest rate for this credit card? Using the business year of 360. So remember now, step 1 or 2 says the 0.013% interest is per day. So this one wants to know what is the annual rate. Annual rate in the business world is 360 days. So I already got 0.00013 in decimal notation. Now I will need to times by 360. All right, so with the 0.000, so see, I've got 10 right here, times by 360. My answer, my annual rate is 0.0468. But that's not percent yet, because to become a percent, I got to times 100. That's why I wrote this down. To get rid of the percent, I need to divide it by 100. So now I want to become a percent, because the problem wants me to write it as a percent form. I moved my decimal to the right 2 places, or times 100 in the calculator. Either way, I get 4.68%. All right. So be very careful, okay? Be very, very careful. I have seen students not quite understanding the difference between a percent versus a decimal notation. Because why here I got to move my decimal to the left. Move my decimal to the right 2 places. Because this answer was actually a decimal notation. All right. So if I have a decimal notation, that means I want percent by multiplying by 100. All right. So this is not percent. This is got a time to become a percent. You got to make sure you move to the right or times 100. Okay. So be very careful. All right. So does this 4.68 consider as a decimal number or consider as a percent notation? Does the 4.68 count as a decimal notation or decimal number, or does it count as a percent notation? And the answer is actually means percent notation. Why the 4.68 is a percent notation? Because you got a percent on it. That's exactly the reason why. So this 0.00013 was not a percent notation. This is all we end up have to move the decimal to the right or times 100. All right. So just quickly show you how to convert our decimal to a percent notation. And showing you how to go from percent, started with a percent notation. To get rid of the percent, got to move the decimal to the left 2 places or divide it by 100. All right. And that will conclude this lecture video. Thank you for watching.